You are now part of a social experiment.
See now where my limit is. Only got no.
In order to get to the top of a mountain, you got to conquer yourself. So, what exactly did it take for you to conquer yourself? And then this is not just any mountain. This is Mount Everest. Once you conquer Mount Everest, like what else is there? How did you find motivation to do other things? Because a lot of people have goals in life. They have these things that they want to accomplish in life. Sometimes they're so vast and big that they spend their whole lifetime trying to accomplish it and they never really get it done. You accomplished this goal in your 30s, So what else is there after that? Can you talk to us about that, conquering yourself and the next missions?
Yeah, mastery is self-mastery. I mean, I say to people that for me, I came to realize that the journey is what gives value to the destination, right? It's how long you took, how hard you worked, the lessons you learned along the way, the resiliency you had to have, the thick skin you built up, the ability to handle losses, the ability to not get overconfident when you win, the facing your mistakes, the ability to process the mistakes you make with humility, to also recognize that you're imperfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. So to accept your imperfections as part and parcel of your competitive makeup. The journey is the superpower, actually. People want to get to that finish line and look for the quickest way. Tell me the secret. I want to win fast. If I told you the secret to winning quickly, you would have gained absolutely nothing, like zero. You would not be a person who is, in fact, deep down, a master at what you do, because the master is one who's gone on the journey and learned all those things along the way. That's actually not the skill to be able to perform, but the character to be able to endure. That's really mastery. So it took me a while. It was a lot of painful things that happened along the way in terms of losses, big games that I lost that, man, I'm this close to the title. I'm like this close. And I make the wrong move and just like lose the game. Like, what just happened? What's wrong with me? And to have to search inside yourself and realize there's nothing wrong with you. It's just part of the journey. Everybody's going to make mistakes and you have to learn from those mistakes. So that journey really helped me. When I finally did get the Grandmaster title at 33 years old, I got to tell you, I was depressed afterwards. And I think that's something that often happens to people when they get to the top of the mountain, because you start wondering, well, what other mountain is there to climb? And the reality is the mountain is endless. I mean, there is no top of the mountain. In chess, you also have the Grandmaster title you get the Grandmaster title, but you also have the title of world champion, which is the best player in the world, who happens to also be a Grandmaster. So it's like breaking into the pros, but you got to deal with people like LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Giannis and the Joker, and you're like, oh my goodness, I thought I'd ride somewhere. And now you're a scrub on the bench, right? Trying to improve yourself all over again. And I had started so late. I was 33 years old at the time. I started chess at 14 when future Grandmasters start like 5, 6, 7 years old. And so they had a giant lead on me already. And part of the reason you don't want to start chess late, it's not only related to age, but it's related to the fact that life is going to come at you fast, right? College is going to come at you. Kids are going to come at you. And that is not what you want to be doing when you're trying to pursue being the best. It just makes the challenge that much more exponential. And I realized that in my 30s, when I had my daughter. My daughter was actually already 6 or 7 years old. And then when I was 36, I had my son, and that just changed life radically. So now I had to change my career trajectory. Instead of being a world champion, which already was late in the game, I started doing things like doing chess commentary, as I mentioned, and got more into the organizational side of chess and made a business decision around it and pursued that. And that changed my outlook on the game completely and contributed to everything that I was able to do to change the game.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. So chess has kind of brought you all over the world. Like you've spoken to people from different cultures and races, religions, and everything that I feel like a lot of people don't get a chance to really experience throughout a lifetime. Anybody from any race or culture really to really talk to and interact with so many different types of people. So what has that kind of experience really connecting and vibing with so many different cultures? What has that taught you?
Man, that's just an absolute pleasure for me to have traveled to over 45 countries, meet all these people, speak different languages and eat different foods, see the world in different ways. You know, a lot of us get stuck in that sort of provincial mentality that the country you live in or the neighborhood, the people you hang out with really have some kind of insight into the way the world works. And maybe it's the sole primary insight into the world, into the way the world works. When you travel around the world and you see how people do different things, look at the world in different ways, you start realizing like, man, my view of the world was so limited. You know, it's just like this small box that you're living in that you think is the whole planet. And so for me, it's refreshing to be able to travel all around the world. It sort of resets me each time when I think I know how something works. And then I see people do something different in their culture and you go, wow, that's a whole different thing. I would never even thought of it that way. And even certain basic things. If I travel from one country to the next, you got to change the money. The way you go on public transportation is different. Even just the cards they use, the credit cards you're using, the foods they're eating. You want like basic American food or Jamaican food. Like, nah, that's not what we got here. We got something different. You're gonna try something different. You know, like, wait a second. And so you end up expanding your palate, expanding the way you approach things. And it can be challenging. Or let's be real. It can be challenging because you can just sit at home and know how everything works. And suddenly somebody drops you in a new place and it's maybe slightly different, but it's different enough that you go, yeah, I gotta just operate on a different, mechanisms. And so for me, it's been tremendous growth and I love it. I love it. I love the reset each and every time. Where am I now? What do I need to do? It's almost like a detective story. You're trying to figure out what's the key to unlocking this group of people because their mindsets are different. It's not just the externals that are different, but a lot of the internal is different. It's the mindset. And you're like, wow, man, I thought I saw the world in a logical way, but their logic makes sense too. And so it's just tremendous growth, tremendous internal growth. I tell people one of the easiest ways to grow is to travel. Now, that said, you got to travel with an open mind because a lot of people, they go traveling, they want exactly what's back home. They want it to be just like back home, everything. The AC has to be the same, right? The food has to be the same. They're looking for things that make them comfortable back home so they don't have an open mind. They don't realize that people are different and they're looking for the same stuff. And that lack of flexibility will never allow you to grow.
So every day I'm going hard. I'm talking business, bank accounts, and credit cards. And somehow we defeat the odds and making sure that no one starves illegal or you had a